Welcome today. This is the Heroes Podcast. The next episode, I have someone special for you today from sunny California. Pamela, how are you?
I'm great, Andre.
Thanks for coming. Before we start, I just wanted to intro you. So Pamela is on a mission to empower women to confidently build wealth from the inside out. We'll talk about this, providing the education, strategies, and tools to grow financial confidence, security, and freedom. She's a certified financial planner, practitioner, certified money coach, CEO and founder, Pamela Plick Wealth Management. She's a speaker, best-selling author of The Rise to Your Money Power, step-by-step guide for building the foundation for an empowered relationship with money. Ooh, this is going to be fun. So tell me, Pamela, where did this start? Did you have some struggles before becoming the money coach?
I did. Yes. And let me just say right now, I am so grateful for the life that I have and the work that I do, because I'm able to work with clients that I love and have the freedom of time and to be able to actually spend quality time with friends and family and doing the things that I love. Now, that was not always the case, and my story actually began quite a while ago. It started with my divorce. At the time, my son was just 2 years old. I had just started in a great career, my first career, entry-level position, and everything was planned except the divorce. And so I didn't really plan to be the sole breadwinner for my family, but I had to learn how to create the financial freedom that I wanted for my son and myself. And although I was great at saving, I knew how to save, but I didn't know how to build, how to create financial planning. I didn't know how to build long-term wealth. And also I needed to heal not only my relationship with money, but also do some work around forgiveness, forgiving not only my ex-husband, but also forgive myself for, the mistakes that I made when, I just didn't know. I didn't have the knowledge and expertise. And so what I did was I actually stepped into more education, more training. It led me to becoming a certified financial planner, practitioner, and being in corporate America, which is where I started. One of my limiting beliefs is I really believed that I had to work hard. My work ethic, it came from my dad. He was a career military man, and I saw how hard he worked. It's like you have to work hard in order to get ahead. And that's what I believe. And that's what I did. And it did work. I did climb the corporate ladder, but the expense was not being able to spend as much time with my son, that I wanted to spend time with him. And to be able to just do other things, that I loved. And so I had to really think about, what is it that I really wanted? Is this where I was really supposed to be in corporate America? And I realized that no, I knew there was a bigger mission for me. And, all the while as I was getting the education, the experience, working with clients, women in particular, who for whatever reason were not engaged around their money. And what also because they were not at heart, I am a financial planner, and I came across a lot of women who weren't quite ready to take that next inspired step to create the financial plan to get them from where they wanted to be, where they are now, to where they want to be, because they needed to heal their relationship with money. So when I started my practice, I made it my mission to help women to create wealth from the inside out. And I just, like I said, I absolutely love what I do and the clients that I work with. And that's my story.
I love this. Pamela, tell me, I'd love to go back to a bit uncovering of your own struggles with maybe lack of self-worth or lack of confidence. Do you want to have, or maybe share a story or two, how bad it was? Because some people are probably at that point listening to this podcast.
Yeah. I think part of it, it actually started in childhood. I was so shy. Now, the one area that I excelled in was education. I love math and I was an excellent student, but I didn't speak up. I just felt like, and that's also part of my upbringing too, that, children are to be seen and not heard. Okay, came from that, that generation. But as I matured, I decided, hey, I have something to say and I need to say it. And now, yes, sometimes I did get in trouble, as a kid because I became outspoken at a certain age. But I think that has actually served me well. But in the beginning, I was very shy, didn't want to speak up, and as an adult going through, in my career, one of the things that's interesting, I got the education I mentioned earlier. I got the education, the qualifications, the experience, but it still took me some years to actually leave corporate America and start my own practice because I did not feel that I was ready. That story about getting ready to get ready, and one day, I just felt like, what, this is it. I just need to figure out what's next for me. And, I kind of did some more internal work. And I said, what, this is the time. And I just stepped into, my own practice, my next chapter. And it was actually the best thing I ever did.
And how long did it take? See, some people at that point of, well, I don't like doing this. I've had enough, but I need to go back there to earn money. How far, tell us, what was the transition period? Because I think that's the hardest one for some people. They already know they need to move on, do something else, yet that transition is killing the change.
Yeah, well, for me, what I did first of all, because I've been, had a successful career, but I decided, what, I need to kind of step back. So I actually took a leave of absence, and it was a two-year leave of absence. I really took that time to focus on me and what I needed to do. Now, after I did that, then I looked at, because it's a challenge if you know that you're in a career because it's paying you, the money that you want to make and all of that. And it is scary to make a change. But I decided that, hey, I officially, at that time, even though I don't have the age, but I had the number of years. So I officially retired. And I said, well, I don't know where I'm going, but you know what? I'm feeling led to take this next step. And I did take a stepping stone before starting my own practice. I worked for a full service brokerage firm for a couple of years, managing clients' investments. And that helped me get some additional experience, some additional, build up my confidence, my expertise. And then I decided, no, this is not where I want to be. And then I opened my practice. So I would say that it is okay to take an interim step. If you know your ultimate goal is this, what steps can you take to get there if you don't feel that you quite have, whether it's the skills or the knowledge, or you just feel you want to take an interim step. And I think that's okay. And that's exactly what I did.
This is gold, because I think that's one of the issues where people are so distracted, so busy, that taking that time out to focus on yourself, game changer. And let me ask you, what was the emotional, because it caught my attention when you said, well, I had to forgive myself and to others. Like, what emotions were you meddling in before you gone through that emotional transformation? Because would you say that was an integral part of your breakout of your old version of you?
Absolutely. Because, our emotions can make us get us stuck. And the main emotion that I had was anger. It was anger. It's true. But I had to work on forgiveness, and I did a lot of internal work. I had a wonderful spiritual teacher, around that. And I realized, that, one of the things, like even working with my clients, we realized that you don't necessarily have to forgive the act, but you forgive the person, right? And so that's really what I think was a catalyst for me, because, when we hold on to that emotion, then it does not allow, our energy to flow, the prosperity to come in. And that was a big lesson for me.
So let me ask you, would you see, that's what I found, and hopefully you can teach us. Do you see receiving love, or flow of love, giving and receiving, has a lot to do with receiving money and abundance?
It does. It does. And I'm not sure, Andre, but you're off camera, so I'm not sure what happened. But yes, in order to be a gracious giver, we have to be a good receiver as well, right? Because it flows. And a lot of times, as women, in particular, we are the caregivers, we're the nurturers, we take care of everyone else before we take care of ourselves. We're not always good receivers. And that was a lesson that I had to learn as well, because I thought I had to do everything by myself. And, and that's not true. It's okay to ask for help, ask for support. And the other thing is, putting yourself first is not selfish, because I always use the analogy, if you recall, when you get on a plane, they do the safety talk. The first thing they tell you is, if you're traveling with a child, you put your mask on first, then you put on your child's mask. And that so resonated with me, because I can't give from an empty cup. So I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself first, doing what I need to do to fill my cup so that I can give to others.
I love this. This is just gold. I've seen so many women also in my practice putting themselves last, taking care of everyone else. And I would say it's okay when there is a baby for what I see regularly, they get stuck. They start
Right.
being a mom and they forget that they had a life outside of being a mom. So mom role takes over their whole life. Uh, so how are you helping women to come to those breakthroughs and breakouts of the old limitations?
Sure. Well, the women that typically come to me are women who are feeling either stuck, they're fearful, feeling either fearful or anxious around their relationship with money, or they're feeling stuck or overwhelmed. And and I want to mention, a lot of times it's women, women who are successful in their careers, or they're successful business owners. But I truly believe our personal relationship directly impacts how successful we are, not only in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. And so when women come to me, I empower them to feel more financially confident, achieve peace of mind around their money, and become ready to take that inspired action. Whatever that next step is for them on their financial journey, then they're able to move forward. And the way that I do that is, the first thing is we need to identify or understand what our current relationship is with money. And the way that we do that is really to understand, why do we make the financial decisions that we do? A lot of our money beliefs are imprinted upon us as children, because we're listening to, what did our parents say about money, whether they even talked about money, was there a feeling of lack or a feeling of prosperity growing up? And we don't realize that though we carry those unconscious beliefs with us, and they show up in our adult lives. And so that's why that's the first step and most important step, is to understand, what your current relationship is with money. And then once you do that, looking at where did those beliefs originate from. One of the exercises that I take clients through is called the money bio, where we look at what was your first memory of money. And that usually triggers, when I mention that, even in conversation, that kind of triggers people. It's like, oh, I remember my first memory of money, whether it's good, whether it was bad, what was that memory and how did it make you feel? And just kind of going from there, and then looking at, after you identify that, looking at how can you shift those beliefs. So looking at the tools and strategies that you can use to shift those limiting beliefs, and also shift the behavior, so that you can move forward, take action, get the support that you need.
Have you got 3 or 5 tips or tricks they could do if someone is listening to this wonderful interview and they want a new outcome, they want a new financial blueprint? What would be that they could do right now?
Sure. I think number one is really to look at, what is your vision? What is that big grand vision? It's where do you want to be 5 years from now, 5 years or 10 years from now? What does your life look like? And use that big grand vision. I recommend that people write it out. Write out your vision. How does your life look? Not only your financial life, but the other areas of your life as well, relationships, spiritual, career, all of those, so that it's kind of what I consider your compass, your true compass. So you know that if you're putting a plan in place, this is what you're working towards. And some days, it's going to be hard, right? Or that mind chatter starts to kick in, well, when you start to think about, well, I can't do this, you have to remind yourself of why you're doing it. This is where I want to be. The next step, as I mentioned earlier, is to understand your beliefs and what limiting beliefs may be holding you back, and identify those. For example, maybe one of the common beliefs that I hear from women is that I'm not good with money, and that's not, that is a limiting belief, because anyone could be good with money. But, a lot of times women have that belief because, they have a tendency, we also have a tendency to procrastinate when it comes to finances. And that procrastination usually is based on fear, the fear of making a mistake. And again, that's easily overcome through financial education, training, support. And so understanding that belief and getting the support that you need to change that belief. But also, I'm a big fan of affirmations as well. So, if a thought comes into our mind about I'm not good with money, create a positive affirmation. Like, for example, I always make good financial decisions. And that reframes the thought. So create the vision, understand your current relationship with money. And then the next step would be empower yourself through financial education and support. So if there's other, you feel you need other tools or additional support, there are ways to get that support, through communities. There's a lot of financial information on the internet these days, although we have to be kind of careful because we can suffer from information overload. But as long as you're getting information from a reputable source that's not trying to sell you anything, that's a great way, to get what you need. And community, being part of a community of like-minded individuals that are on the same journey, getting that support. And then lastly, take inspired action. So whatever that next action step is for you, might be anything from creating a budget to creating a retirement plan, or even relocating, whatever that next inspired action step is. And then you're able to take that step with a quiet knowing that everything is in order because it's in alignment with your vision, your values, and the goals that you're wanting to achieve.
That was insightful. That was a mouthful. The last one I picked up was your goals, because I find a lot of people, women, men, unknowingly are on someone else's goal plan. They are following someone else's mom's, dad's, uncle's, authorities' plans, or sometimes following the plan of the government or plan of society. Do you see that's a big thing to bring that awareness for people who come to you to realize who they are and what they want?
I agree. It's really true. It's true, because that's where doing the work around understanding your beliefs and where they came from. I have a client that I worked with, and her father, and then she's an attorney, by trade, but her father wanted her to take on, a traditional career, as a teacher, and, because he didn't know that she could be successful as an attorney, but she looked at, hey, I know this is my vision. Now, she did take some detours along the way, but she ended up in the profession, the career that she knew was right for her. And it's really, like I said, it's important to identify those beliefs, and the good news is our beliefs around money are generational, right? Your parents' beliefs are not your beliefs. They were imprinted upon you, yes, but you have the power to change it and do what you're called to do.
Yes, very powerful. And a necessary piece of a happy life.
It is.
That type of awakening changes purpose, changes how they show up. So how do we find out more about your business? Do you have a website, social media account?
I do. And for your listeners, I have a free gift. I have my money type quiz. Now, this gift is it applies to anyone. I think it'd be great, to understand. It's an easy way to understand your current relationship with money. And the quiz only takes 5 minutes. And it is a life changer. Also, for those that are really wanting to look at what they need to shift and create maybe a mini plan in terms of how they can create a more empowered relationship with money, I do offer a 45-minute complimentary money power breakthrough call. And so you can access that at my website, which is pamelaplick.com/thank you. So pamelaplick.com/thank you. And, take advantage of the free quiz. And there are some other free resources that I do have available, available for your listeners. I also have a Facebook community, and this community is called Rise to Your Money Power. And it's a community for women and purpose-driven women who want to create a more empowered relationship with money. So if you're looking for a community of like-minded women who are on this journey, I'm love to have you inside the Facebook community.
Beautiful. What would you want to be celebrating in 5 years if things went really good for you?
For me, yes. Actually, one of my big goals, I set up my practice. It is a virtual practice. I've gone to the virtual model some years ago because I really wanted to be able to work from anywhere. Love to spend a couple of months working from another location, maybe a different part of the world. That is my big vision. And just to be able to bring my message, to women in a bigger, bolder way, because what I know is when we can take the fear out of building financial freedom, then women can bring their unique gifts into the world in a bigger and a bolder way. And that's what I want for the women that I support.
Pamela, who do you need to connect with to make that happen? This broader reach, the broader impact that you are looking for?
I think probably opportunities to be able to spread my message. And I've had some wonderful opportunities recently, like for example, one being invited to come onto your podcast. I also recently started a TV show called Rise to Your Money Power, and it's on the Win-Win Women .tv network, which is wonderful. And the show is also, it will be streamed to Amazon, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, as well as Roku. And it's a global platform, which I love. And so any opportunity to continue to spread my message, I am grateful for.
Wonderful. So where do you want to travel? When you said you want to travel, we're heading off, travel around Europe. Where is your top 3 locations you wanted to experience and maybe do some work remotely?
Okay, yes. Actually, I have my top 2. Okay. Number 1 is Italy. And I actually lived in Italy as a teenager. And I've always wanted to go back. So that would be one, Italy. And I've always wanted to go to France. Now, I've had the opportunity when I lived in Italy, I visited Germany as well as England, but I've always wanted to go to France. And I would love to be able to work Paris in particular. And I love the artist Monet. So one of my dreams would be to see the Monet Gardens. So I would love that.
This is so good because, as you know, my next year is about traveling around Europe. So I know where I'm going to send my pictures.
Oh, yes, I would love that. Yeah.
So what is holding you back? What's the date? Let's get specific. When are you taking these trips?
You know what? I actually thought about this morning. I don't know why it came into my head, but I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on my calendar for next year to visit Italy. That's where I'm putting it on my calendar. And I think the great thing about Europe is it's really easy to go between countries. At least it used to be, and so that's kind of my priority, to put it on my list and do all the things I need to do to get myself prepared for my trip to Italy.
This is so exciting. And I would, if you were my client, I would say, when are you going to book it in? What's the date? So how come you lived in Italy? Like, that's not a typical experience for someone from the US. How did that happen? Childhood.
Well, because I mentioned earlier that my father was in the military, and so he was stationed there. And that's how I ended up there. Our family, we even took the family dog. We were there for 3 years, and that's where I spent my high school years. I graduated from high school. Now, unfortunately, at that particular time, I didn't quite appreciate it as much as I do looking back, but I always loved the Italian design. I loved Italian food. And I just think the countryside, it just feels so, the old worldness of it, if that's a word. And it just feels so spiritual to me, the countryside and everything. So that's how I ended up in Italy.
This is so exciting. Because if you ask me, probably we would love to find a place where we could maybe grow our own veggies and have more history around us and temperate climate. And I know they've got ski fields and a lot of paragliding. So It's all coming because we are booked in, Pamela,
Mhm.
traveling in 3 weeks. But is there anything else that you wanted to share? I would love to have this conversation going on for the next 3 hours, but is there any more gold nuggets for the audience, bringing it back to your expertise and your greatness in changing those money limitations into patterns of power?
Yes, I think the most important thing that I would leave the audience with is that the most empowering thing that you can do as a woman is to take ownership of your financial future. It's interesting if we think about our financial decisions or why we stay either in a relationship, in a job, in a situation, a lot of times it's related to finances. But if you can take that out of the equation, then you're able to make more empowered decisions that will lead you to the financial freedom you desire, as well as the life that you deserve.
Pamela, I loved connecting with you. I loved your plans. You may end up meeting in Europe. I can feel and sense that. Thank you very much for your time. I loved this interview with you.
Oh, and thank you, Andre. It was wonderful to be here with you. I truly appreciate our conversations too. So thank you.
Thanks.